The Chronicle of the Morea is a long 14th-century history text, of which 4 versions are extant. In French, Greek, Italian and Aragonese. More than 9,000 lines long, the Chronicle narrates events of the Franks' establishment of feudalism in mainland Greece. West European crusaders settled in the Peloponnese following the Fourth Crusade. The period covered in the Chronicle was 1204 to 1292. It gives significant details on the civic organization of the Principality of Achaia. The extant text of the Chronicle of the Morea. The Greek text is the only text written in verse. The French, Italian and Aragonese texts are written in prose. Greek text. The verses of the Greek text are written in a 15-syllable political verse. The verses are accented but not rhymed. It is written in the spoken Greek of the time, with the inclusion of several French words. There are 2 parallel Greek texts, as well as 3 copies. Mushavniensis 57 9219 versus Mustaurinensis B2 I, Library of Turin, closely related to the Copenhagen text. Mus Parisienus Graecus 2898-8191 versus Mus Parisienus Graecus 2753 and Mus Bern 509 Grec, both copies of the Paris version. The oldest text is that held in Copenhagen, the language of which is more archaic. The Parisian, more recent, text is simpler in language and has fewer foreign words. The transcriber omitted several anti-Hellenic references, so the overall text expressed less contempt of Greeks. The difference of about 1 century between the Copenhagen and Parisian version shows a considerable number of linguistic differences due to the rapid evolution of the Greek language. The text of the Copenhagen version describes events until 1292. French text. Royal Library of Belgium No. 15702. This text is known under the title, The Book of the Conquest of Constantinople and the Empire of Romania and the Country of the Principality of Morea, since in the incipit, it is indicated, C'est le livre de la conquête de Constantinople et de l'Empire de Romanie. Et du pays de la Princesse de la Morea. There are also other copies of the French text. National Library, Paris, No. 2753. University Library of Bern, No. 509. Information in this text reaches until the year 1304. Italian text. Chronicle di Morea is a summary that was compiled later than the previous texts and contains several mistakes. Its source is the text found in the Greek manuscript held in Turin. Aragonese text. Libro de los Fecus et Conquistas del Principado de la Morea was compiled at the end of the 14th century. From the Greek version and other later sources, at the request of the Grand Master John Fernandez de Heredia of the Knights of St. John. It covers events to 1393. Which text is the original? Which version came out first? It appears that the original text of the Chronicle of the Morea has been lost. Although the Aragonese and Italian texts have been clearly identified as later texts, there is no widely accepted consensus on the priority of the Greek or French text. The author of the original text of the Chronicle appears to be a Frank or a Gasmole and Mule. He appeared to admire the Franks and have contempt of the local population and the Roman Empire. Notably, the author respects the citizenship of the Byzantine Greeks, calling them Romans. The significance of the Chronicle. The Chronicle is famous in spite of certain historical inaccuracies because of its lively description of life in the feudal community and because of the character of the language, which reflects the rapid transition from medieval to modern Greek. Pallet explains that since the author admired the Franks and had contempt for the Byzantine culture, the Chronicle of Morea did not become part of popular culture and history after the Franks left the Peloponnese. Numerous administrative laws and practices of the Principality of Achaia are mentioned in the Chronicle, making it a significant source on the Frankish period in Greece. Language of the Chronicle. Since the year of the fall of Constantinople, 1453, marks the symbolic boundary between medieval and modern Greek. The Chronicle of the Morea is generally classified under medieval Greek. However, the Chronicle of the Morea, along with the tocoprodromic poems and a critic's songs, are considered as the beginnings of modern Greek literature. They are classified as part of both Byzantine, medieval vernacular, and modern Greek literature. The first editions in print. The first printed edition of the Chronicle was published in 1840 by J.A. Buckhone. It contained the Greek texts from Paris. Buckhone named the book Beta Iota, Beta Lambda Iota Omicron Nu Tau Eta Sigma Kappa Omicron Upsilon Gamma Kappa Epsilon Sigma Tau Alpha Sigma Tau Omicron Upsilon Mu Omega Rho Alpha Iota Omega Sigma, a different title than the text. The second printed edition of the Chronicle was that of the Greek text from Copenhagen, published by Buckhone in 1845. In 1889, John Schmidt published both texts of the Copenhagen and Paris manuscripts side by side. Translations. A 1964 translation of the Greek text by Harold E. Laurier. The first text. The book begins with a prologue of 1302 verses. The first 3 verses are